Good evening. Let's take a little bit to look at the discussion board and talk about the most effective ways to use it, not only as a reader, but also how to make the most effective posts so that folks can keep up with the discussion. Our discussions will grow pretty fast and pretty quickly, and they'll get fairly large, hopefully. So there are a few tips to make sure that people know exactly what's being discussed and who's being responded to. You'll notice that I'm in the threaded view right now of Seminar 1 discussion board. I'm going to take us back out to the regular view. When you approach the discussion board, you have a couple of choices. One choice is you can click on Unread Post, which I've just gone through and marked everything as unread for the purposes of this video, so it looks like there's a lot of things that I haven't read and responded to, which is not really true. And if you click on that, you'll see that it collects everything in one screen. This is often how I read the discussion boards, because then that way it will only pull up the things I haven't read or responded to, and I can go through, for instance, and mark things as read if I'm not going to respond to them. And this clears things out pretty quickly for me. So actually I'm going to leave that one I responded to, and I'll use it as an example. Same thing with that one. So let me come out of here, and I'm going to go back to the main discussion board screen just to show you how it looks in the threaded view. If I click on Seminar 1 discussion link, you'll notice that it opens up the different threads. And here you can see how many unread posts there are in each of these categories or threads. So, you know, for instance, if you're not ready to talk about Daisy Miller yet, you probably wouldn't click on that. Let's look at the introductions thread really quickly though. I'm going to click on the unread posts, and instead of all 27 posts, you can now see that it's only collected those posts specific to this thread. And you can see where I've responded to folks. And look at these posts that I've made where you can see who I'm responding to, and I've copied and pasted part of their post, and you can also see my response right underneath it. This is what we refer to as the naming convention, and there's a couple of different ways to do it. These two posts that you're looking at right here, I used the reply button, and I copied and pasted the portion of the introduction post that I wanted to carry over instead of quoting the entire thing. So as you can see here, there's the portion of the post, and then my response underneath it. The same thing with Nikki's post. I've quoted part or replied by copying part of the post and responding underneath it. This is an example with Troy's post where I used the quote button, and you can tell I did that because of this blue line right here and the fact that his name is up at the top. So you can use either quote or you can use reply. I do want to warn you about one thing, however, with the current version of Blackboard, and that is when you reply to a post, often when you come back and go to respond to the next one, it will actually copy over the information from the previous post. And typically what I do when that happens is I'll go ahead and copy what I want to copy to that post by highlighting using Control C, and we'll just do a fake post right here. And if there were text in this box, I could click Control A and it would highlight the whole thing, and then I could drop in what I want to quote or paste into that window that I want to respond to. So that can help you with that. The main reason we want to use this, and nobody used the naming convention in the introductions board, and that's fine, but when we get to discussing the literature, it gets really confusing who you're responding to. For instance, you might be responding to a question for me, but I don't know that because someone else already responded to it. You could be responding to them if you don't copy and paste the portion of the post that you're responding to, if that makes sense. So please, instead of posts that look like this, where it's just your response, please make sure that you begin to use this format where you have what you're responding to first, followed by your response. Make sure that your name is in front of what you say, and make sure that either through using the quote button, as I did here, or by typing the person's name in front of their post before you paste it, make sure that I can differentiate between who you're responding to and your actual response. This is important not only for the flow of the discussion, but it's also important because you could miss out on important actual points, like score points for participation, if I have to spend a lot of time trying to interpret who said what, or if I simply miss part of your post because it's in the middle of a long string of quoted information, or there's no labeling, so I don't know who said what at the end of the week. So I hope these tips are useful to you. If you have questions, please ask them in this thread and I'll be happy to answer them. I'll be reminding folks during this first week, if I respond to you and then at the end of my post, if I say something like, please make sure that you're either using copy and paste with the reply button or you're using the quote button to respond to people so we can tell who and what you're responding to. Please note that I'm not doing that to be rude. I'm doing it to emphasize a pattern of behavior that will help you in the class. It will help other people respond to you better, because if we don't know what you're responding to or who you're responding to, we're less likely to interact with you just logically because we're not sure what's going on. So give yourself the best advantage in using that format, and I will see you in class.